meeting to order, December 20th. Please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please silence your cell phones. Also, this meeting is videotaped and put on YouTube. Okay, Chief?
I'll forgo my normal police report. Actually, we'll say one thing. On Monday night, the school board, the Cocalico School Board, took action on the memorandum of understanding for the school resource officer, and they passed that at their meeting, and they have it signed. Denver Borough also on Monday night approved the president of Borough Council to sign the MOU, and I presented copies tonight for your review and approval. I don't think we need a motion or anything like that, but so I presented it, and if you sign it, then it is finalized. And we can move forward with the school resource officer position starting on January 2nd.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
So I would like to introduce 4 officers tonight, and between those 4 officers, there is a total of 91 years of law enforcement experience. So we have a very experienced group being promoted tonight to the rank of corporal. These were done in seniority order, so there's no slight to Josh because he's going last. So first, I would like to introduce Officer David Fisher. He will be with the department for 30 years on January 16th, 2019. Officer Fisher's experience and training has been a tremendous resource to the department. Officer Fisher is a certified accident reconstructionist, a member of the Lancaster County Crash Team. He has also been instrumental in our AED and Narcan programs through the department. This fits well with Dave's volunteering with the 5 Pointville Ambulance Association. So Dave, the department, the township, and Officer Fisher's family are proud to congratulate Dave with his promotion to the rank of corporal. I'd like to introduce Officer Gail Sizer. Officer Sizer will be with the department for 24 years on February 5th, 2019. Is it? 25. My math isn't good. Officer Sizer has been a tremendous asset to the department, and her work with Lancaster County Special Emergency Response Team has been invaluable to the department and the CERT team. Officer Sizer has previously been named Crisis Negotiator of the Year and continues her work regarding training and speaking on the subject of domestic violence. Gail, the department, the township, Officer Sizer's family are proud to congratulate you with your promotion to the rank of corporal. Officer Savage. I would like to introduce Officer Stephen Savage. Officer Savage will be with the department 19 years on January 4th, 2019. Is that right?
Yes.
Officer Savage has been a vital member of the department for his work and experience with the Lancaster County Drug Task Force. Officer Savage's knowledge of investigations, including drug cases, has proven to be an asset that has assisted other officers and myself throughout our careers. Steve also volunteers his time for various youth sports programs, including coaching baseball teams for Effort Youth Baseball. Steve, the department, the township, and your family are proud to congratulate you with this promotion to the rank of corporal. And finally, last but not least, I would like to introduce Officer Joshua Sola. Officer Sola has been with the department for 18 and a half years. Officer Sola's role in the department has been a valuable part of the success of many rookie officers. Josh was certified as a field training officer on May of 2010. He has been part of every training every officer since that time. Officer Sola is active in youth sports and coaches Cocalico youth football. I would also like to say thank you to Officer Sola for his efforts in organizing the yearly Christmas toy drive, which has provided thousands of toys to local hospitals over the years. Josh, the department, township, and your family are proud to congratulate you with the rank of corporal.
You have a book I can stand on now. And how about one just with you guys real quick? I want to shake your hand. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You missed it. Transport. Yeah. Thanks.
How's it going?
Billy. Was I just passing?
All ready for
I can't remember. In the brown like SUV?
You're so excited.
Your second shift will be coming in. You got a bunch of people.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
I don't feel safe, but I have more room.
You're a car when they walked in, you know it.
Now you know the difference between first class and when you're a coach.
Okay.
Zoning officer report. Tony?
Due to the length of the, you all have my report, but due to the length of the agenda tonight, I'll keep it short and sweet. One item that I did want to bring to the board's attention, as far as new homes for this year, we're well over 50 new homes created this year in the township. We haven't seen growth like that in quite a long time. And one other note to add, I do have 3 new single, well, actually 1 single family and a duplex home for Wabash Landing. They're ready to start putting foundations in there. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, stepping back, approve the minutes for our last meeting, December 6th. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not,
Make a motion that we accept as presented.
I'll second that.
any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Authorize list of bills.
Okay. We have a total general fund of $126,381.21. You have a total state fund of $12,458.46, and a total light fund of $13,859.80. Questions?
Mr. Fry, I see there's a large bill for salt. How much does that cost these days?
I'll have to get back to you on that. That's Chris, I don't know. No, it's not cheap.
There's a bill for the stray dogs here. Is that a yearly fee or is that a one special payment there?
That much is it?
Yearly.
It's lower than what was budgeted. And in fact, if they would charge per dog, it would be much, much higher than that, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I make a motion to pay the bill as presented.
I'll second the motion. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Planning.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We'll try to keep it timely. The first item is Foxbrook preliminary subdivision land development plan, and the suggested action would be accept the time extension. As previously reported, they are currently reevaluating aspects of the project and looking to bring on either additional partners or alternate developers to take over the project and see it through. There have been various entities that have made contact with either Scott or Tony relative to that possibility. We received a written time extension offer earlier today from their attorney, so unless there's further questions or discussion, our recommendation would be to accept the 90-day time extension.
Okay. The motion would be to accept the 9-day time extension offered as submitted by the applicant's attorney dated December 20th, 2018, which will extend the deadline for action of Foxbrook preliminary subdivision land development plan until April 1st, 2019. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions?
What, normally you've got items that they've progressed on with the planning to give these kind of extensions. What have you seen since the last one was due?
There hasn't been a whole lot. They have made substantial progress overall in terms of certain aspects of the development. They've secured an NPDS permit. The lagging part would be more on the PennDOT side relative to off-site improvement. So I think we have some somewhat unique circumstances. These developments are very complicated to assemble. It's not your typical suburban single-family development, so there's complicated aspects. There are measures in place to ensure that somebody is not dragging on and on and on forever and not doing anything. They have been reporting to us, and like I said, there is parties that are looking to invest or take over the project. So I think at this point, and plus the other way to look at it is, what would it mean? Have there been substantial changes to the ordinance and other things? and really there haven't. So it's not, some people would say that is an aspect that should be considered. So I don't know if Scott has further comment or anybody else, but I think it's somewhat unique, but it's something that I think they're clear, the township, we have copied them on some of those guidelines relative to making progress for town extension, so they're aware of that.
They're trying to sell the property, basically, and time to do that.
I think it would be detrimental to their options, whether the new person wants to go a different direction or continue on the direction they're going to, and pull that rug out at this point.
Is there a time frame where it's just like, that's the final one you're getting?
I think the time frame would be if they don't show any, if it just doesn't do anything. But as was indicated here, I think there's enough evidence that although it's very slow, there are some movements, and we'd like to see it speed up, but hey, it is what it is,
Yeah, what we don't want to do is be detrimental to them being able to sell that property, move that property. So what we're doing is just trying to facilitate it.
These extensions have been years.
Right.
Just, does there come a point where it's like,
We have done that before.
yeah, that's why I was wondering with this property, if it's gonna cut around like that. Another year, another year, another year.
Well, maybe it's time will tell.
Thank you.
Time will tell.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Motion a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
If we could do a point of orders, we do have like Swama and Rodney's, maybe we can hop to that one.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
And then come back to the other ones.
Yeah, that would be listed on the other items there. A little brief background there. Lancaster County Solid Waste Management Authority has acquired the property located at the northwestern corner of the intersection of South White Creek Road and Trost Road. Previously, the township had approved a land development plan for that property, with the owner being Cason and Associates. That was back in 2009. The plan was recorded, and at that time, financial security was established for certain required improvements. Those were documented also through the signing of an improvement guarantee agreement. So at this point, the property has been acquired, and one of the issues as part of the transfer of the ownership was to try to resolve the letter of credit and extinguish the prior one and reestablish one in the current owner's name. Information has been shared with Tom relative to the prior letter of credit and the current letter of credit, and they're in the same amounts. So the motion before you tonight would be to allow the substitution of that. Now, I'll read that when we get to that point. I think at this point, we'd like to turn it over to representatives of Lancaster County Solid Waste Management Authority, who maybe can give you a little background on what their goals are, what their hopes are, timeframes, and explain that aspect. Then we can deal with the actual motion, which is the only motion for tonight.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Bob Zorba, current co-CEO of Swama. I'm joined tonight with our Director of Engineering, Nick Core. So just, I'm sorry to stand in front of you. Just for some background, Swama is a municipal authority tasked with managing solid waste in Lancaster and Dauphin County. And we do that with 4 facilities that we currently own. We have a 2,200 ton per day transfer station on Harrisburg Pike. We have a 3,000 ton per day landfill in Manor Township, a 1,200 ton per day waste energy facility located in Kenoi Township, and a waste energy facility in the city of Harrisburg, Susquehanna Resource Management Complex, formerly known as the Harrisburg Incinerator, which we acquired about 5 years ago. As Lancaster County continues to grow, we're seeing significant increases in the amount of vehicle traffic in waste tons that are currently using our Harrisburg Pike transfer station. And part of our kind of 10-year county plan was to look at possibly siting satellite transfer stations somewhere in Lancaster County. When the property at Muddy Creek, we kind of discovered that in looking at that particular property. The northeast region of Lancaster County is one of the fastest growing regions in the county, and we kind of focused in on the Muddy Creek property, 13 acres. It's a great size. It's in an area, industrial area, with a lot of road improvements that lend themselves to truck traffic. There's not really any residential properties around it. There's very quick access onto major highways, the Turnpike and Route 222. So, you know, on looking at those things, we thought, hey, this may be a possibility for us to establish a satellite transfer station. So our concept was we would like to reduce the amount of waste customers and tons going to our Harrisburg Pike station by about 10%, which would mean approximately 150 tons per day of waste from the northeast region of Lancaster County would be delivered to a transfer station at the Muddy Creek property, which would be about 40 vehicles a day using that facility. We've kind of targeted this northeast corner of the county as areas where we would allow the waste generated in those areas to go to a facility here in East Cocalico Township. And we'll just go back. This is kind of a general overview of kind of a potential future site development plan we've envisioned. Our access road into the facility or in and outbound scales, about a 40,000 square foot transfer facility here on the property, and then kind of an administrative type building for our employees that would be working at this facility. And again, as I mentioned, the reason this was so attractive to us, we think it would really help reduce truck traffic from the northeast region coming down 222, 272, Route 30 to the Harrisburg Pike facility. The roadways here, you have direct access on this off 222. The waste that would be brought here, the municipal waste, we would transfer with our vehicles directly to our Susquehanna Resource Management Complex, which would be done by way of a turnpike, so we really wouldn't be using many of the local roadways. This kind of gives you an idea of that distance, about 47 miles to that facility. The construction demolition waste that we would accept from the northeast region would go 222 Route 30 to our landfill located in Manor Township. So those were some of the general concepts we came up with. We'd be looking forward to working with the township to develop plans, go through the planning and approval process. We would also need to work with the Department of Environmental Protection to obtain a permit for a transfer station, do our internal design. So we're probably looking at about a 4-year period so we could actually construct and permit and open a facility. So that's a little background on why we purchased the Muddy Creek property. Certainly entertain any questions that you may have.
First, let me say thank you for choosing that site. That's pretty exciting. You mentioned lead time of 4 years worth, right? What's your ideal lead time to get that up and running?
Really like to have it built and up and running early in that 4th year. Probably, one of the most time-consuming processes would be working through the
And this is just so the public knows, I didn't know that, it's a transfer station. There's been some rumors out there, we're gonna have a big landfill out there. You need to make people understand that it's not gonna be a prize landfill.
And, correct. If you've ever been, and a lot of people have, to our facility on Harrisburg Pike, basically a transfer station is a consolidation building, so homeowners, waste haulers would come into the facility, dump their waste, which is generally, anywhere from a few hundred pounds to, up to 10 or 12 tons. Then we load the material into our transfer trailers, which haul about 21 tons, and then take those to the end disposal facility. So the material comes in, it gets loaded out and goes out. We're not burying material in the ground. We wouldn't be combusting any material. It's simply a consolidation point in order to more efficiently deliver waste to our end disposal facilities, which are our waste energy facilities for the landfill.
Thank you. Thank you.
And all the facilities you've seen in there are spotless.
Thank you, Alan. I mean, one thing we do pride ourselves on, myself and all the employees, is maintaining facilities so that they're attractive and can actually enhance the area they're in. If you've been to any of our facilities, we pride ourselves on maintaining them well, being part of the communities in which our facilities are located, and becoming an asset to those communities.
It's probably a premature question, but just out of curiosity, the architecture on that building is probably going to be similar to, I would think, what you have on Harrisburg Pike, or any thought to that?
At this point, we would probably do, typically we do like a lot of the split face block, and like an earth tone type siding. We're big on landscaping heavily, the entrance and perimeters to our facility.
No, glad you decided to buy that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
No. Yeah, Ken?
Yes. Is there any consideration for having a recycling facility there?
More than likely, we would duplicate this setup that we have at our Harrisburg Pike facility. So we would take municipal refuse, construction demolition, and then probably from the haulers collecting material, their single stream recycling. One thing we need to do as part of the permits we have at our other facilities is have a recycling drop-off container outside the entrance at our facility, which is kind of open 24 hours and available to citizens.
Yes, that will mean our Carver recycling facility will go away at that point. That would become the township drop-off point for recycling.
So, yeah, tonight we're here to kind of work through the financial securities switch.
Well, on that same note, yard waste, leaves, brush. Any thoughts on that?
It can be delivered there. We take it at our Harrisburg Pike facility. We wouldn't have a separate compost facility located there, so it would be more than likely blended in with the waste and delivered to one of our other facilities. And that happens now, people bring in grass or leaves or sweepings, cuttings.
Any other questions? Yes, if I could. There's been, I guess, news reports that there's something in the line of tipping fees that local municipalities get with these kind of situations. Can you shed any light on what that would be, dollar numbers?
At this point, it would be premature. You're required by regulatory agencies to pay a host fee on the tons coming into the facility. So we certainly enter into discussions with the township in order to arrive at
You said you have another facility, Harrisburg Pike. What are the numbers that are generated there, I guess, for the municipality?
I have to double check that. I don't know off the top of my head.
to be determined.
Right.
Well, 4 years from now too, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else?
I think you had the original letter of credit.
I did.
Technicality.
Give that to you, so. And then the letter of credit that we hold for cases, we'll send that back tomorrow, is that what we're gonna do?
What do you recommend?
Well, yes,
So
now
then
we have
yes,
this one, I think we need to send that one back. You didn't plan on taking that one with you, did you, or?
I did not.
Okay, so we'll send that back to the bank. The one that we hold for cases, okay?
All right, then, as written before you, the motion would be to authorize a substitution related to the current financial security being held by the township associated with the prior approved and recorded preliminary final land development plan for Case and Associates by accepting the new standby letter of credit issued on behalf of Lancaster County Solid Waste Management Authority by Fulton Bank N.A. dated December 19, 2018, standby letter of credit number STB73, and authorize the release of the prior letter of credit issued on behalf of Cason and Associates LLC by Fulton Bank, letter of credit number D005256, both in the amount of $287,013.32.
I'll get that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried.
David, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Address you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Back to members first. That's the members first credit union to be located at the corner of 272 and Denver Road. Final minor subdivision land development plan, just a basic background on the current status. The planning commission did recommend conditional approval. The applicant is working on a revised submission, and they recently received a letter from the authority and CDM Smith relative to the proposed water and sewer extension, and they are on the verge of submitting information to the County Conservation District for their NPDS and ENS. So as those items proceed, they will need a little additional time. They've offered a time extension until February 21st, 2019. So the motion recommended would be to accept the time extension submitted by the applicant's consultant dated December 11th, 2018, which will extend the deadline for action on the members' first final minor subdivision land development plan until February 21st, 2019.
Nobody's here representing that.
I did not expect that.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next one is the Paul J. Landis minor subdivision plan, a one-lot subdivision in the Naperville area. You had previously recommended conditional approval. They've worked through remaining items, received sewage facilities planning module approval, received the ENS, or received, the module approval. They worked through the remaining items. They provided an escrow for financial security. They provided a check to the township that was delivered to Liz. They signed the improvement guarantee agreement and stormwater maintenance easement agreement, all delivered earlier recently. So along those lines, the motions would be to, first would be to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the improvement guarantee agreement for the Paul Landis minor subdivision plan as signed and submitted by the applicant, prepared by the township solicitor, along with the required financial security in the amount of $44,261.50.
Anybody here?
I do not expect it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the same.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next motion would be authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater maintenance and easement agreement related to the Paul Landis minor subdivision plan as prepared by the township solicitor when executed and submitted by the applicant. And it has since been submitted.
I'll make the motion. I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
The last motion then would be to authorize signature of the Paul Landis minor subdivision plans by the board of supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
And I believe Lisa has the plans laid out for later.
Yeah.
Jumping along to the next one, that would be Wabash Landing. That would be the phase one final subdivision land and lot add-on plan. The project is proceeding in construction, and as mentioned earlier in the meeting, they're actually on the verge of, they have requested or asking for review of certain building permits, so a lot of the infrastructure to support that has already been completed. So as a result, the applicant's consultant has submitted a request for security reduction. We've reviewed it based on our ongoing site observations and have provided an email with an updated spreadsheet recommending release. So if there aren't any questions, the motion would be to authorize a $1,042,572.15 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for Wabash Landing final phase one subdivision and lot add-on plan, resulting in the remaining financial security being reduced to $703,973.10.
873. Page 7.
873.
Anybody here?
Tested and passed.
Anybody representing that? No. I'll make that motion.
I will second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No? Motion carried. Thank you.
And then the last item is a stormwater management plan, the state stormwater management plan. It's an accessory structure and associated maneuvering area on the property at 181 Mosley Road. The plan had been submitted. Tony and I had actually met on site at one point. We responded with comments and resubmission, and are working through issues. At this point, we feel the project's got to a point where we recommend conditional approval. So the recommended motions would be, the first motion would be to conditionally approve the state stormwater management plan, conditioned upon the applicant addressing all items outlined in the Becker Engineering LLC review email dated December 11, 2018, to the satisfaction of township zoning officer, township engineer, and township solicitor.
Anybody here representing us? Yes. Welcome. I'll make that motion.
I will second same.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
The next motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the improvement guarantee agreement for the state stormwater management plan when signed by the applicant, provided a form acceptable to the township solicitor, along with the required financial security and amount acceptable to the township engineer, and a form acceptable to the township solicitor.
I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second?
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next motion would be to authorize the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater maintenance and easement agreement related to the state stormwater management plan when executed by the applicant, submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township solicitor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
The last would be to authorize signature of the state stormwater management plan by the board of supervisors upon the applicant adequately resolving all conditions of plan, approving to the satisfaction of the township zoning officer, township engineer, township solicitor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
If there's
Thank you, Mr. Stipp.
If there's any other questions relative to ongoing projects, I can answer that. Otherwise, I had no further items.
You've been busy lately.
We all have.
Not busy enough.
Merry Christmas, Frank.
Thank you. Stephenson Equipment,
Mr. Chair,
Stephenson.
I'll read the motion real quick and then we'll explain it here. Motion is to approve the Stevenson Equipment Agreement for the purpose of the budgeted 2019 teleskids with billing to occur in 2019, subject to the adoption of the 2019 budget. So this is basically just to lock in the rates. It is CoStar rates. It's actually slightly under budget with what we actually had budgeted from the previous quotes. When we were originally quoting this, we were actually looking at getting a floor model, and actually we're getting a new model now with full warranty. So this motion is simply to lock the agreement in, and the actual purchase will occur in 2019. Assuming the budget's approved, but for the motion.
And the reason you do it now, it's cheaper now than waiting till next year.
They are, this is a item that they're trying to, yes, we will pay more next year because it's and the thing on our lot that they're trying to move off the lot.
Yeah. Okay. So the motion would be,
So the motion is to approve the Stevenson Equipment Agreement for the purpose of the budgeted 2019 teleskid with billing to occur in 2019, subject to the adoption of the 2019 budget.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions?
And the price is?
$99,200.
The leasing price is just under budget, and it comes in at $18,444 for a 72-month term.
72-month lease.
Yeah.
Right.
With the buyout.
Yeah, buyout.
Yeah, at least buyout.
Dollar purchase at the end.
And that's quite less for a new one than we would have paid for a used one.
We were buying a used one before with this for the same money.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Have a motion second,
Yeah,
Okay.
from Doug.
all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Mandatory water connection letter.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you have the motion is to authorize the chairman to send a letter requiring connection to public water by residents along North Line Road. Residents now within 150 feet of the public water system. So you have the letter before you. I did redact out the names of the residents there for privacy purposes.
Okay. Moving to the board.
I'll make a motion, we forward the letter.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions?
Did this just get found out recently, or is this
Just
just
happened.
ongoing?
It's part of the water, the authority's completion of the water line project. This is the next step.
The new line going?
Right, they-
through there?
What the process is, they notify us, which they did notify us in writing, and this is the first public meeting since they notified us that we had to take action. The owner themselves will have a couple of months to then comply.
They basically refused to hook up.
Not necessarily saying.
Not necessarily.
They just finished, they just finished.
There's just a process that this is following.
This is part of the process.
This is not the enforcement part of the process, this is just the start.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Dockstar.
This is, Mr. Chair, again, this is another 2019 budget item, and this is to approve the Dockstar agreement and servicing contract as budgeted in 2019 with billing to occur in 2019, subject to the adoption of the 2019 budget. The most important thing is getting the service agreement signed up because at the end of the year, our current service agreement expires. So again, this will be billed in 2019.
And the price of that is what?
The combined price right now is $7,287 for the service agreement, which is actually going to be discussed, but it's going to be coming down from that number that you signed. We're going to go from 7 units down to 3. And the one-time install to convert to the cloud-based system is $7,630.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve Dockstar agreement for service with budgeting in 2019 and bill occur in 2019, subject to adoption of the budget. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say
Okay, this next one is related to our liquor fuels budget. This is a audit compliance item where we have to just, these are all approved projects, it's just basically putting in the proper category that PennDOT wishes to see. So we're just moving money around within the categories of our liquor fuel budget. The motion is to transfer unencumbered monies from the road resurfacing project account number 35439-00-0 in the amount of $106,600 to the maintenance repairs road and budget account number 35.438-00-0. Again, it's all within the liquor fuel budget. And this is what we were instructed to do by PennDOT.
Okay. Go ahead and move. I'll make a motion. Second.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution. So, do we do the resolution now?
Yes, well, let me just catch up to right here real quick on that. Okay, the first resolution you have before you is the resolution for approving necessary pension contributions for the police retirement plans. It's resolution 2018-21 and resolution, place in resolution 2017-19 of the Township of Cocalico Township, providing necessary contributions as determined by the evaluation report required by Act 205 to the East Cocalico Township Police Retirement Plan to contributions by the police officers of the East Cocalico Police Department. And basically it's setting the rate of contribution at 5%. So that's your motion is to adopt resolution 2018-21 for a police contribution of 5%.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution 2018-22.
Yes, this motion is to adopt resolution 2018-22 non-uniform, amending the pension MMO, basically for non-uniform plan. And that's making an adjustment to the number of employees that we currently have that are now eligible for the pension plan, and the most recent one being Mr. Young that's now been added to the plan. So that's what resolution 2018-22 is for at this point, for your approval.
Yes, there's 9 participants.
Yes.
I'll make that motion. Go a second.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you.
Next resolution you have before you, Mr. Chair, is resolution 2018-23, and this is for the rollover of unencumbered monies into the 2019 budget. And it's a resolution of the Township of East Cocalico Township authorizing and carrying forward a certain general fund unencumbered monies in the amount of $96,000 from the 2018 general fund budget to 2019 general fund budget in order to balance the 2019 general fund budget. So this is the first steps of what we need to talk about for the budget tonight. And it's my recommendation that you adopt this resolution.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Go a second.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions?
So that's basically the 2018 surplus.
That's some of it, yeah.
Some of it. That's one thing. Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried.
Okay, the next resolution is resolution 2018-24 for setting the tax rate for 2019. I ask for, before you move on to this resolution, if we can take a tactical jump to the next item, which is the resolution to adopt the budget. And the question I have before we talk about tax rate is there in the board any changes on expenditures that are being proposed by the Board of Supervisors for the budget before we talk about tax rate?
Yes. I'm just going to go on public record again, as I did at the last meeting. I was not in favor of this rain tax being called a tax, and I stated that publicly. I was not in favor of the said tax or fee, and I guess it's a tax now because it was voted 2-1 to call it a tax, so I'll have to say it's a tax. I was not in favor of that tax giving exemption to exempt properties. We heard a very good dissertation from a concerned citizen about all the runoff from certain areas down across our roads, which carry a lot of sediment with it, and that winds up into the Chesapeake, which we all pay for, and that's what this MS4 thing is all about. I was also not in favor of, because it was a tax, of it being included on the tax bill. I felt it should have been sent out as a separate entity, but that was my suggestion under a fee. Having said all that, I have no problem with the budget, with the exception of the $151,800, which is proposed in this budget for stormwater management watershed. I've wrestled with this since the last meeting. I don't think it's the way it was proposed that I understood, and I'm not saying I understand everything perfectly, but the way I understood it, it was going to be a tax on land only, because land contributes to runoff. And I questioned myself, and I think I asked Scott, I didn't ask Scott, I just questioned Scott, made mention to him that how do people that live in a trailer park in this township, they're going to get taxed for their assessed value of their living abode, which isn't real estate. And at the same time, their landowner is going to then get a bill from this township for the land, and you know who he's going to pass it back to. I just think it's wrong. I think we're running before we're walking. I have yet to hear of anyone else in and around any of our neighbors who are opposing this MS4. I think everybody in this room reads the newspapers for whatever reason. Maybe the comics, maybe the obituaries, but have you heard anything about anybody else imposing an MS4? It was mentioned in this room at our last meeting by individual or individuals that maybe we're running too fast, and I don't disagree with that. I know I'm catching my comrades, my other two supervisors off guard, but I'm struggling. I really am, because there were a lot of questions raised at the last meeting about some of us own houses and some of us don't. Some of those people that own houses and have escrow accounts with the bank, we're not sure the bank is going to go along with this taxing issue or fee issue, as it were. Whatever, you call it whatever you want. I'm still calling it a fee, although it was voted to call it a tax, so I'll say the tax. There's just a lot of questions that remain unanswered to me. And maybe I'm a little slow to grasp things, but I'm trying to think this thing through. And I'd like to just slow down and, as was suggested, slow down and smell the roses before we run off half-cocked and wind up having to eat our words 6 months down the road because we didn't think things through. So I have no problem with the budget other than that $151,800.
So that's the amount for MS, that's the amount.
That's the projected amount. That's on this budget. And I said my piece. I just want to be on public record. Again.
Actually, I believe the amount is $158,300. So once
Well,
we,
yeah, with the, I'm sorry.
right, yes.
You're right. You're right.
Just to correct.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So David, it's $158,300 exactly, and then less the tax collector portion. So Doug is right. The net is $151,800. So you're correct on that.
Thank you for making that correction.
Mr. Fry, to your colleagues' points there, I've had a chance to study this proposal as well. I don't see that there's a perfect answer out to this. There's going to be some people that it's just are paying more than what they should, and there'll be some that won't be paying enough. That goes with the taxing system as it is. There's just no perfect answer to this. So, to your point there and your vote in the past, Mr. Fry, I think that's, a reasonable alternative to it. The nonprofits, I really look at it that you give money to the fire companies and then all of a sudden, oh, give us some back for this. They're volunteers. And, I would hate to look these guys in the eye and say, by the way, give us some of that back. I don't think that's right.
I think though the equitable, the fair is to just tax people on their land. I don't understand, if I have 2.5 acres, my neighbor has 2.5 acres, but he's got the mega house and I've got a little small one, he's gonna be paying the exorbitant rate. And then I counted 5 mobile home parks in East Cocalico that do not own any real estate. They do not contribute to this issue, period. And if I lived in one of those, I'd be a little unhappy. The other thought I had was the hydrant tax and your light tax. Do you impose those as to where they are? I know we have the hydrant, so we pay a hydrant. We do not pay a light. That's altogether different than what you're talking about here with this stormwater. They don't match. Those correlate to the location and to the property owner. And this doesn't. So to me, the only equitable way is to pay on the amount of land. And I personally don't understand what the issue is on that.
Well, I'm confused, Mr. Russell. I'm honestly don't know. You say, I hear land, so if you have a building, you have runoff water off that building more than you have land. So is this coming from land only or buildings that?
Right now, what the 2 board members who voted for the tax would be is on total assessed value of the property, because it's part of the property tax.
I understand that, but what contributes to this problem? Is it land only or buildings on land?
Both.
Both.
Because to be honest with you, as Mr. Mitchell's here, if you have a farm that has very little building but does have a lot of land, a farm would be primarily the land park component would be contributing to it. But when you have a Pepperidge farm, which is 80% impervious, or a facility like yours that's got high impervious, but your building is contributing to it.
So I would only play on my 20% land, not 80% building and blacktop?
Well, that's not what...
Based on what I'm hearing from Doug.
But what was the discussion was, at least in our meeting, and I'm not going to speak for each individual board member, but the way I understood the majority was that they were going to basically imply that on total assessed value of the property, land, and...
Yeah, that means. That's correct, because it's from reading the engineering document, it's a combination of impervious surface as well as fully or semi-pervious surfaces. So they're looking at a combination of all of it. So, as Mr. Russell just said, a building that has, like Pepperidge Farms, that's mainly impervious. It's got the roof, it's got the parking lots. That's creating the pollution runoff. If you have a farm, that's creating the pollution runoff. If you have a morphed version of those, my home has a lot, and it's probably got a smaller square footage. But between the roof on the square footage and my lot, the 2 of them combined are creating the runoff.
So my question, if you have 5 acres of building and blacktop or 5 acres of farmland, does one